King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And the prophecy tells us that Jah revealed himself to be seen by all, to save his people from poverty and to let them know that there is purpose through the teachings of Jah. So he said the teachings of Jah. His only begotten Son to teach us all the kingdom of Jah. Oh, what a wonderful world it would be to live in peace for all eternity. He came to save his people from poverty and to make them know that there is us through the teachings of Jah. He said the teachings of Jah.
Taia te kōrero, taia te wānanga, taia te pai wao. Kia uru mai rā koutou ki roto ki te ware kōrero e tū. Nei. Tenei te pō nau mai te ao. Tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou. Kia ora everybody, Che Wilson from Che's channel, Te Pai Waho, here tonight for Taite Talks. Firstly, e tangi ana ki o tātou mate, Auntie Roseanne e moi, ko koe ko koutou ki te pō, ko tātou tēnei te kaupapa tangata, e mii nei e tangi nei, kia ora ui tātou. So kia ora everybody, hope you've had a good week so far. And yeah, it's been a long week for myself, but I'm really stoked to have our Manuhiri tonight, and I'm going to bring him in right now. And our Manuhiri for tonight is Moko Tauariki, and I'm going to hand it straight over to Moko. Moko, for you to introduce yourself. Kei a koe, bro.
Yes, tēnā koe te parata, e Che, ngā mihi o te wā e hoa. Ko taupiri te maunga, waikato te awa, waikato te iwi, tainui te waka. Ngā tina ho te hapu, te tipu nei au ki rā hui o pōkeka, nō reira ko ngā ti mahuta te hapu. Ka tawhiti atu ki tērā pito te o mātou nei rohe ki a Ngāti Haua, ko ngā marae e rima, ngā marae mōku. Ko Moko Tauariki taku ingoa, tipu nei au ki rā.
I think Moko has frozen there.
Koea, kua au tēnei.
Ka pai, kia ora, bro. Nā reire mihi ana kia koe. O tira, kia koutou katoa whakarongo mai ana, and kia ora Misty. And I hope you're enjoying your quarantine is back in Australia. It's my niece, she's just gone back to Aussie on Tuesday, so this must be day 2 of quarantine. Hoi anō. Let's get straight into it. And so Taite Talks, everybody. If you're new to Taite Talks, what happens is we have a Manuhiri, and I'm going to hand it straight over to my Manuhiri tonight, and he gets to ask me questions about tikanga Māori and te ao Māori. So over to you, bro.
Yeah, kia ora, bro. Joyce, as you know, I'm a pretty avid watcher of a few of your channels there, hoa. Had to have a real poro aki po mihi tangi at the last episode for Koko Muka. But kei te pai, I learned so much. I learned a lot of these webinars and these types of forums of wānanga, and what a benefit they have been to bring these wānanga into my own home at my own time. And yeah, if anything, other than some of the negativity that COVID has brought with it, these opportunities have been invaluable for myself anyway. I really love it because if I missed the episode live, then I know I can go back to it and watch it later. And yeah,
Good, bro. That's cool.
yeah, you've canvassed a lot of good kaupapa, and I've really enjoyed particularly some of our tauiwi whānau, some of our Pākehā whānau that you've had come on to the channel and really share some of their whakaaro and some of their, questions that they have about Te Ao Māori. And I know some of these sorts of things that don't necessarily think about what their views of the Ao Māori might be. And so it's actually quite good to get that insights, actually, because sometimes when I do move around in those Pākehā circles, I'm genuinely only focusing on Pākehā things. But then when we have to twist it around, we get their insight into our world. I'm like, oh, whoa, actually, that's pretty insightful. So,
so how tō
I've been following this kaupapa. And I'm a very avid follower of my whanaunga from Te Aroha, Praone Gloin, and it looks like he's the driver for a group of wahine from Kahungunu Raukawa, I guess. I think they're from all of them are from Raukawa, and they're tracing the steps of our tupuna Mahinarangi, taku arara ko Mahinarangi, and so they're walking 400 kilometers from Kahotea to Rangiatea. And every day I've sort of checked in to see at which stage they're at. And I'm actually blown away. I'm in awe of these mana wahine and the amount of kilometers that they are walking each day. I'm equally in awe of the brothers, the men. And I'm sure there's probably some wahine in the background as well. But Anaru, Big B, and Praone are the two that I see in the videos more often, that are following them, supporting them, looking after them while they're on their trails. And so a few things have sort of popped out for me as I'm following their journey. And I think Praone put out the other day that if we were to trace a journey of our own tupuna, what footsteps would I want to follow, and why? I had to ask myself, why would I want to follow that footstep? And I had to have a good think about it. And at first I thought that maybe the tupuna from Rangiriri, Battle of Rangiriri, maybe that might be a good one, but that's more of a contemporary one. So then I got to, one of my tupuna is actually Pawa, as a Ngāti Pawa from Hauraki. And so I'd actually, and I drive from Waikato to Hauraki quite a bit. And I don't really pay attention to any of the tribal landmarks that are along the way, largely because I don't know where a lot of them are. And I'm sure there are many. And I'd like to know actually what was the journey that Pawa took when moving from Taupiri over to Hauraki, into where Ngāti Pawa currently resides now, and also over into parts of Tamaki Makaurau, and what a journey that would have been. And so I guess the part I would be, what are the benefits to, what would the benefits be, not just to myself, but to the nation, I guess, if we were to consider pursuing those types of hikoi.
So I think the most important thing that's happening on the Mahinarangi Trail walk is that it's reclaiming a key component of our history. Because it's one thing to recite the history, it's one thing to sing about the history, it's one thing to name people after different parts of that history, to actually trace the footsteps as much as you can of our ancestors is pretty key, because what it does is it puts you in, well, as much as it can, it puts you in the spaces and places that they went to, and possibly even the emotions and feelings that they may have had. You might want to just mute yourself while I'm talking, bro. There's a bit of noise in the background. But I think what it does is it takes us to that place, takes us to reconnect to that history. And what would be really cool is everybody watching, think about which tupuna trail would you like to follow in your own history. And as Moko's already inferred, you might not know the actual tupuna sites, wāhi tupuna, wāhi tapu, ngā tongi o ngā mātua. You might not know those key places. And so you're going to have to do some research. And I think one of the most important clues, if you're starting with a complete blank canvas, is to just look at road names, especially on the open road and all of those back roads. Any of them that might have a Māori name, have a look at it, because it will probably be connected to an old tupuna trail. And most of those back roads, especially if they were originally bridle trails, and bridle trails are old horse trails, they will almost definitely be ancestral trails. Because when the Europeans brought the horses over, they just followed the ancestral trails, and then over time those became roads. And as the network of infrastructure evolved, those roads became highways, and some of them became back roads. And like a classic example is, as you're driving north from Hunterville, there's a road called Murimotu. And straight away that tells me that's the old path to Murimotu, which is home back in the Karioi area at the foot of Mount Rupehu. And I know that because Murimotu is a key maunga tapu for us, but also the Murimotu Survey District for the Native Land Court. And when talking to my Ngāti Hauiti Relations, they then confirmed it. They go, yeah, that's the old trail. You go through Taite, and Taite's in a song, Poia te taku poi. Go to Taite, and from Taite onwards to Murimotu and to the One Tapu. So there's a heap of history that can connect you and link you to those places. In addition to that, you might see some words which might not look like an English word and might not look like a Māori word. Usually they've been misspelt. And like classic example is Otago. Otago originates from a Māori word, or tako. And so that's another clue, as well as just pulling a map out. Pull a map out, and you'll start to find, those things that don't really exist anymore because we use phones instead. But if you pull a map out, it'll usually have names of the different hills, and that's another way to learn. Another way to learn is by looking at rivers, the names of rivers, and culverts, canals, all of those things, because if they're a Māori name, then it's either the correct Māori name or slightly misspelt. And so you just got to work through it. And I think that's where the gems and the gold comes, is where you're working out that journey for yourself. And so for you, finding out where power went from A to B, and then also working out where Mahinarangi has been, because are they gonna swim the river as well? Because I think she swam the river somewhere around here, as a Tamuhiri. So it'll be cool to just see what they do when they get there. Hoi anō, if you unmute yourself, what's your next question or comments?
Yeah, a little bit concerned about some of my whānau over at Glen Afton, actually. But disappointed with our Waikato District Council. And actually, it's a bit kuare in their response to the community of Glen Afton, which is only about, maybe a good 10 to 15 kilometres away from Rahui Pōkeka, heading west. And there's a miner out there. He's been operating a coal mine for some time, and he's also been accepting tyres as a dumping ground. Now, those tyres have been burning for about 3 months now, over 3 months, according to the locals out there. And I've got aunties and uncles and lots of whānau that live out there. I'm a bit peed off, actually, that the council's response to the community, and particularly those who are elderly, the wahine that are hapu and have little ones, and just about every single household out there is on rainwater, and so they have tanks, and so all of those. And what council's response has been is this, and to me, this really goes against not just the human rights and the human safety of our whānau in there, but really it goes, to me, they're not providing for, particularly for our whānau, they're not upholding what Te Tiriti proposes to achieve in terms of, looking after each other. And so what I've said to the whānau out there, if there are people that they can go and live with in other towns, then that's what the whānau should do. But council don't want to go in and shut this business down, even though he is causing hazard impacts, health impact to the local communities. So I guess, what might be some of the proactive approaches that I could take to sort of put the council on notice?
So I think there's a couple of things. There's the impact to the environment, there's the impact to people, and then there's the response that you have to take with local government. And so there's a couple of points to that. And if you look at the local government response first, you have to write. You have to write, and you have to get everyone in the community to write. And because it's not a very big community, so the more you write different letters rather than the same, because what councils will do, if 500 people write the same letter, they only treat it as one. That's from my experience in working in different resource consent processes in the past. So they treat it, they will note that there are 500, but in reality they just treat it as one issue. So there's that point. Another really important point that we all need to understand, and kia ora Helene, I've seen your comment. Another thing that we also need to understand is that our polluted rivers are a result of compliance. So all of the mess that we're in right now, most of it's been because it's been allowed. It's compliant with the law. And so that tells us that the policymakers and the lawmakers get lobbied by people who are lazy, who don't want to change, and who just want to burn tyres and get away with it. And so we actually have to do our own lobbying as Māori, as people that care for the taiao. And we've got to be smart about it. We've got to use all angles. The hapu and iwi angle is only one angle. Then there's a community angle. Then there's, friends of whatever society angle. And, so just as Moko Tauariki or Che Wilson, straight away, we can go from three angles which won't be lumped in as just tangata whenua or mana whenua or Māori. And I know I'm sounding a bit dismissive, but often, even through all of the hard work, local government still just, we just got to get this through and tick it off. Which is sad, but it's a reality. And the more we can outsmart that, the better. Because I think this issue, and you've got to raise the public health concerns, and then you've also got to make contact with the public health nurse and do formal submissions and complaints there as well, so that you're not just linking into the local government issue, but you've got to go as far as you can and as wide as you can, and don't just rely on the iwi or the hapu hat, but wear all of the hats that you can, because that's what being a good treaty partner is that we're allowed to go on both sides. We often box ourselves in and just stay in one lane, whereas actually we're community members, we're ratepayers, we're all of these different things. So we should be using our voices as actively and as efficiently as possible. I think the other point is, if I was to say ko au te awa ko te awa ko au, I'm the river and the river is me, and someone was dumping all of the sewage into my river, then actually I'm the sewage and the sewage is me. And what's happening out there in Glen Afton is I'm the pollution and the pollution is me. And I think, it's that simple. Because what happens in sewage consents is that they'll always say, actually, the water quality is comes out as a good quality and potentially it's drinkable. And none of those mongrels are actually going to drink it. And so when I've been on the other side challenging, because I've been on both sides, because I used to be an environmental commissioner. When I was challenging, I'd often go, come on then, let's go there and have a drink. If you have a drink, I'll have a drink. Let's go and have a champagne breakfast, because it'll be bubbly. and I think this is the thing, is that compliance has got us to a really polluted state. And we have to have the courage, not just as citizens, but also as businesses. We as business owners have to have the courage to change things, because otherwise it's just bloody lazy. Bueno, bit of a ramble there.
Yeah, that's good, bro. The health nurse one, didn't actually consider that one actually. So it's good to hear that angle. I'm hoping that the locals out there have already got on to the public health sector or the health nurse. I'll ask my auntie anyway. I'll give her a ring. Tonight's a good time.
Yeah,
I'll give her a ring and see where they're at. What I was glad to see
into anything that might be a bit kino to the environment, because then it could impact on us as tangata.
I was observant of the news article when it was reported on Te Ao that I'm glad that they didn't roll out the Maori face to go and try and quell an angry mob. Because I don't know if that's something that councils might tend to do, particularly in communities where they're strong Maori. But Glen Afton's actually quite split down the middle. Actually, it's quite diverse. Good.
Just have to note that there's some people swearing on here, talking about Queensland, and I just want to note those are swear words. There's a reason why the wording is in white and blue. There's a reason for that. So please do not swear on this channel. Queensland is the swear word, even though my wife and son might be supporting them. That's
I'm a little bit MIA at the moment. This is the first time I've been on Facebook in 24 hours.
Yes. Well, I'm a staunch New South Wales supporter. So
my man.
And those deluded people there, Mr. Proctor, Mr. Kevin, they're just a bit deluded. But anyway,
just ignore them.
A final quick question, bro.
From me?
Yeah, you got.
Have I got a final one? Yeah.
And we're not allowed to talk about Ngātauroi, don't you?
I'd probably have to say that Santa, everyone's getting all their Santa. There's a time that we rolled out our a brown Santa ahead of our white Santa.
Well, you would have noticed Rangi Mātāmua talked about whitia no. And I've been talking to Rangi for a couple of years about how do we replace Halloween.
Yes, I remember that. Yeah,
because there's because the lunar stuff changes, so sometimes Halloween is in Kopu, in the time of Kopu, and sometimes it's in the time of whitia no. So because of that change, it doesn't really work there. But I did wonder whether if it's not a star, then what about the Pipi Wharaurua? Because Halloween is the time of the Pipi Wharaurua arriving or making its presence known. So we've got to look at things like that. And so with Father Christmas or Santa Claus, Saint Nicholas, he's one example of us having to think about what happens during that period of summer. And so I wonder if it's rehua. It'd be worth having a wānanga with the likes of Rangi and that. But also, there's those that will like Christmas and those who choose not to celebrate it because of its Christian origins and Christianity's impact on us. And then there are others who will celebrate Christmas for religious reasons, and others who just celebrate it because it's a good time for family and nice to give some presents. So I think the reasons why people celebrate Christmas today are so varied, and it's just working out what are the key things during that time of year that are constant every year, so that you don't need to change it as much. But yeah, so that's just some thoughts. Matariki is going to be a good one for us to get used to not having a fixed date. So that whatever happens there, that mahi that Rangi's leading, because it's going to move us away from those fixed dates and getting us into a more focused following the moon, you know, because what are we in Tamatias? Yeah, I think so. Because I need a little bit longer life to plant my last set of taiwa for the season. Oh yeah, Tamati. So yeah. So yeah. Oh well, bro. Thanks heaps.
Probably just my only concluding, just to sum up, was I just think a big mihi out to those 4 adjudicators of that State of Origin game last night. They were the real winners, the referees and the video referee. They won that shield. That shield is theirs. So thank you, Ewa. I enjoyed our kōrero tonight. And those were just my closing comments. I wanted to leave with those people that are using their profanity language on your page.
Yes, they're a bit deluded, and I've seen the response about the moon. All were for your calendar, and just seeing my calendar, and my calendar's okoro. So, you know, we will slightly differ, and tamatea tomorrow, according to my calendar. Hoi anō, yes. May the Maroons enjoy their brief moment of glory, because it will only be a brief moment, and I will suspend these words on the tāhuhu nui of Ranginui, turuturu oviti whakamaua kia tīna.
Taiki.
Taiki.
Never